his needs, which were few, but which definitely included privacy.
We discussed the basic requirements a while back. We've drawn up some plans, but we're waiting for the weather to warm up a bit. Shouldn't take long to put together once we get started.
So he's staying at your house up the hill?
For now. I get the feeling he doesn't much like having roommates, though. He'd rather have his own space, no matter how small.
He does seem like a real loner, Meg agreed. Are Christopher and your mother still, Meg was reluctant to pin a name on their relationship, even though they'd been seeing each other, dating, for several months now. Seth's mother, Lydia, had been a widow for years, and Christopher a widower, but somehow they'd mutually decided they were tired of being alone. Meg was happy for them both, and the idea of having internationally renowned pomologist Christopher only minutes away was reassuring, especially since he was the person who had kept the old orchard healthy for decades. Besides which, he was delightful company. She turned back to the mess of dishes in the sink, but found herself staring out the window once again. Oh, look, it's a fox. I haven't seen many around here.
Where?
Meg pointed out across the meadow. He's hard to miss with that lovely red coat. Or is it a she?
Can't really tell from here. They've been rare in the area for a while. The foxes used to be a real nuisance to anyone who kept chickens, but fewer and fewer people do now.
What else do they eat?
Birds, small rodents. I'm no expert.
It wouldn't be hard to know more than I do. I've been a city girl most of my life. Can I assume they don't eat apples?
You'd have noticed by now. And they don't climb trees, as far as I know. They're mainly carnivorous. The only thing to worry about is illness. They can get rabies. And sometimes you see one with mange.
Like they lose their fur?
Pretty much. Mange is a kind of infection caused by mites. It's itchy, and the fox's skin can get infected, and then they can get parasites. Sometimes they die from starvation since the parasites are sucking up all their nutrition.
That sounds awful. Does mange spread? Should we worry about Max getting it? Max was the golden retriever they shared after Seth had adopted him. Max had never met another animal or human that he didn't like, so most likely he'd try to get close to a fox, which could be a problem on more than one level.
Apparently mange doesn't affect dogs and cats. Or goats, if you're wondering.
Is there anything to be done about it? For the foxes, I mean.
If you see it early enough, there are drugs that can kill off the mites. You can leave out food injected with the medication, which seems to work. Assuming you want to keep the foxes around?
I think they're pretty, but I wouldn't want to make a pet of one. Is it a problem locally?
Not that I'm aware of. But an infected fox could wander into the neighborhood at any time.
Great, one more thing to worry about.
I wouldn't put it high on your list, Meg. Unless it's hunting season.
There was a fox hunting season? Which is when?
Now. It ends at the end of this month.
How come I haven't heard of this before? Meg demanded indignantly.
Because Granford is not very good hunting territory. There are better places for serious hunters in this area. Of course, there are always a few farmers who go after rats with a shotgun because they eat their grain, but none of our closest neighbors keep animals, much less shoots at pests.
Good to know, I guess. So I don't need a bulletproof vest when I go out to feed the goats?
I think you'll be safe. And I would have told you if I thought you needed one.
Do you need a permit to own a gun? Meg asked.
This is Massachusetts. What do you think?
I'll assume that means yes. It seems you need a permit for almost everything in this state from what you've told me about construction, old or new. Somehow she'd finished the dishes while they talked, and they were draining. Meg dried her hands and turned back to Seth. Want to take a walk before it gets too dark?
Okay. Any place in particular?
Just out. Like I said, I feel restless when there's nothing I have to do. It's not raining or snowing, and I'll have to get the goats into the barn before dark, so why not go now? We can look over the apple trees and see how much pruning we'll have to do, and you can tell me about your latest plans for the tiny house. And walk, Max.
You are something else, Seth said, laughing. You've got a foot-long to-do list for your free time.
Some people would call that an efficient use of time, Meg replied, but she wasn't troubled by it. Neither one of them was a lazy person, which was probably why they fit so well together. Well, one of the reasons. There were plenty of others.